most of the situation, right? If you're having challenge, please let me know. Most of the that situation. Elijah, please, if anybody's having challenge on the group, just let me answer them and refer them back to this platform. Thank you. So most of you are also like that, right? You want to get into tech and you learn a lot of things. I've learned Cisco, I've learned Python, I've learned C Sharp, learned embedded system. You learn everything, right? But you are scattered. There's no gathering together to be able to make something useful and something useful out of it. How many of you have been in that position? You've learned a lot of things. You say, oh, this is the learning thing. You learn it. You learn, you try and do a lot of learning. But you've not really been able, thank you for that. You've not been able to like gather it together and even like, okay, now this is my path, this is my trajectory, right? It can be so confusing. I was there. I learned, like I said, I learned networking, I learned Cisco when I was a student. I learned the embedded system, I was doing electronics. I learned Java, Python, and the funny thing about the learning is that you can never get it. You can't get it because you don't even understand what you are doing, right? Oh, I'm not audible. Can anyone hear me? Someone say I'm not audible. Can you hear me?
Yes.
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 Is it loud enough for you?
Yes.
Okay, we can hear you. Okay, thank you so much for that. So you've learned a lot of things, right? And you keep learning. But one of my mission or one of the mission of the Get Techie Challenge is to just save you from those learning loops and put you in a channel that you know that if I follow this trajectory, we're in the month of February. By the time we'll be getting to the month of, let me say, May, June, July maximum, I will have a job that is paying. I will have a tech job that is paying me. How many of you agree that that's what you really want, right? I want that,
Yes.
right? I know that's what you want because you can't just keep learning and learning and learning, and you are not. It's tiring and difficult when you keep learning and you can't make something out of it, right? So that's why.
Yes.
Before now, the Get Techie Challenge I will just teach you some AWS things, and everybody goes and they don't use it. So if you actually check, I actually sat down, what can I do? I noticed that no matter what you know, if you cannot build a real life project, right, for you to put on your CV, and when they call you, you can defend that. There are two ways things. You see that you are learning something, you learn and learn and learn, but you can't even you on your own, you can't gather it together. Or you are able to learn, you're able to build real life projects so that when you put this project on your CV, when you put it on your LinkedIn, and a recruiter reach out to you, or you apply for a job and they call you, you can really sit there in confidence and tell them, well, I have done this, I have done this, I have done this, I've done this. And you are not lying, you have actually done them, they are hands on. And many of you agree that that's the way forward, right? That's why I actually took my time to build this portal. So our training is not just going to be me, I'll just stand and talk and talk and talk and everybody walk away. But we are going to have a portal whereby you can track. Are you getting that? You do a project,
Yes.
you upload it, I review it, I will review it, I have time. I review it, I give you feedback on that portal, right? And you are able to actually track your progress and you're able to document. That's another thing I think we fail to do. You are learning, you are not learning in public. Nobody even knows you on LinkedIn. How many of us have LinkedIn profile? Nobody knows you on LinkedIn. You are just saying because I don't know it yet, I don't know it yet, you are hiding. But I know that whatever it is you've learned, for example, if we are setting up VPC today, go to LinkedIn, shout out, oh, I set up a VPC today, I set up private subnet, public subnet, and a lot of that, you're able to shout out and talk about it. And when you keep having this track record, right?
Yes.
If a foreign country, like I'm in the UK, if you're in a foreign country, recruiters reach out to you based on what they see you write on and talk on LinkedIn, to be honest with you. But even if you're in Nigeria and you are applying for a job, right? Or you are in another country and you are applying for a job, you actually know that you have done these things. And anytime, any day someone calls you, you have the understanding, you have the answer, and you're able to deliver for the company. Do we understand? So that's why if you check your portal, you see you have 5 projects. If you are using mobile, you have to slide to see the project. But you have 5 projects. 4 projects for the 4 week of this course, and the 5th one, which is the capstone project that you can actually do and submit. So this is actually the general overview, but let me come down because I know some of us are new. Let me come down. Why are we here? You just saw AWS training and you're like, okay, let me go. I don't even know what it's all about, as you've always done for training. So in any tech field you are interested in, right? Like be a developer, be a data scientist, be a data engineer, be a DevOps engineer like myself, you need to understand the concept of cloud computing. Cloud computing is key. You know why? Any organization you want to work for today, because I can guarantee you that 80% of companies run their workload on the cloud. What do I mean by that? It means you see all those your GT Bank, Fidelity Bank, where their servers are. Most people don't run on-prem server anymore. And I will explain to you what server is for those of us who are just starting out. Most people don't run on-prem servers. They run their servers in the cloud, right? And so we
Yes.
are the cloud, meaning up in the cloud. No, we'll look at that concept later, right? Cloud is not in the cloud that you can open your eye and see. But they run their servers in the cloud, and they are always looking for cloud engineers. How many of you have seen this on LinkedIn? Cloud engineer is a very, very popular role. It's a role you can apply for. Most companies are always looking for cloud engineer, meaning someone that will come and manage their cloud for them, someone that will come and provision servers for them, someone that will come and secure their cloud for them, someone that will come and manage their cloud users for them. That is what organizations are looking for. And it is not difficult to break. You know why? As a cloud engineer, initially, you don't even need to write any code. Because I know one of the things that scare people is code. Hey, I don't want to code. I don't want to code. I don't want to code. That scares people a lot, right? But you don't have to code for you to be a cloud engineer. I think initially, but with time, we'll be looking at what we call infrastructure as code, which we'll be looking at in this course, which is Terraform. And I will show you how easy it is to just use a documentation to be able to actually write this code. Like you are not even writing to yourself. You understand what you want to do, you go through the documentation, you run it, and it's able to work. That's actually one of the major things we'll be doing in this class. I hope we are clear about that. So, but very quickly,
Yes.
I'm not going to walk you through I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to walk you through the students' portal, right? So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to walk you through the student portal. So when you log into your student portal, right, this is actually what you are going to see. I'm going to share my screen now. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yeah, you can see it.
Okay, thank you. So when you log in, you have this, you have your dashboard, right? And the course is registered for. You have your dashboard, the course you register for will be showing there. The projects are going to be here, right? If you click on my courses, right, you're actually going to see the course you registered for. Because this class is live on now, the live button is actually enabled. But if the live class is over, right, the live button will not be enabled anymore. Most of you have encountered that.
Wait, ma. I have a question.
Yes,
Sorry, ma.
the question.
I've already, I saw my project is being tracked up to 20%. So I don't know how, but I've just done some courses in the AWS.
Click on the submit button because you are that. Let me just walk you through that, right? So you see, you have your course here, right? You can click
Yes.
on continue to project, and you will see the projects that is tied to this course, right? You can see, you will see the project that is tied to this course. You can see we have week 1, which is this week, today and tomorrow, right? We have week 2.
Yes.
Can you see? We have week
Yes.
3, week 4, week 5. So it's possible that you just came to week 1 mistakenly and you check this box, right? So when you check
Yes.
this box, it will actually like submit on the portal, but it's going to submit an empty project. Do you get it now?
Yes.
So what you are meant to do, like this project 1, after we've done class for today and tomorrow, it will open your understanding to even understand what you are meant to do in this project 1. So when you've now gone through the class and you have the understanding, which some of you will be demoing in live class, you will now go back and say, okay, they say I should create VPC. You go to your AWS account, or actually, I'm also trying to give free access to those that don't have temporarily because AWS is expensive, so I can't just leave my account open for you. But you come and say, okay, they start to create VPN, two VPC. You really go create the VPC, right?
Yes.
And you take the screenshot and you upload the screenshots and you do your write-up. Oh, I created the VPC. What challenge did I have? These were a challenge I had while creating VPC. What did I learn? These were the things I learned. And as you're writing it here, you also go and write it on LinkedIn. I know why I'm shouting that. If they don't know that you can do this thing, nobody will employ you. Do we get? I know why I'm shouting.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Can we please? Okay. Okay. If so as you are writing it here, what you did, I want you to write in detail. Also write it on your LinkedIn profile. Today I set up EC2 instance. Today I did this. In short, I did a production grade EC2 instance for a client, right? I'm your client. So you do it for a client. I'm your client, right? So that is what you write up and upload the screenshot for me to really know you did it. Then you submit this project. If you submit the project on my own day, I'm going to see your project and I'm going to review it. I'm going to tell you, oh, either you did well or this is where you need to do your corrections. Do you understand? So we have this project for week 1 to 4, which is this week. You can see we are covering details in our that even in week 4, we are doing CI/CD. And I will explain to you what CI/CD is and the concept of CI/CD. But let's leave that one. Then at the end, there's what we call the capstone project, which is this your project. You will not be able to do this much. Please, if you know you're not going to follow up with the project, there is no point because we can't just be doing training and we are not getting results.
Yes.
Project is key. As a cloud engineer, hands-on is key. You need to have hands-on. You need the only when they are interviewing you, there's what we call technical interview. When they are interviewing you and you say, oh, I've set up EC2, they'll say, walk me through how you set up. When you have this situation, walk me through what you did. These are the things you will say. Do you understand?
Yes.
So
yes,
at the end, if you are able to finish your 5 projects, right, within,
yes.
then you can go with, of course, with confidence. Everybody is different. Some people can do 80 projects and still not have confidence to apply for a job. So I'm not giving you the guarantee that immediately just finish this course now. FCMB and UBA and Lloyds Bank will call you to come and scatter the infrastructure. I'm not giving you that word. I'm only saying that if you have that confidence in yourself that this thing I've done is enough to get me a job or to get me a freelancing job, you can log on to Fiverr, tell them that you're a cloud engineer, and if you bid well for it, you can get it. Are we clear about that now? So that is actually what the portal is. At any time, you can go back to your student portal. So this was the bit I was working on before this class, and you see, this place, don't worry, after this class, just anything. The code is not, I'm writing code behind this, it's not working. I will enable it so that you can come here and you actually request for your AWS credit. It will load the credit for you. You will see it, and you can apply it to your AWS account if you have your own personal AWS account. Then for those that don't have accounts, if you come here and request create an IAM access, you can see now for now it's giving error because, like I told you, it was today I started implementing that feature and it's failing for some reason, right? I don't have that time again to debug it, right? I'm open to you, unashamed, right? So after this class, I will debug it. You can now come here and create an IAM. It will take you to an AWS account, right? Sorry for the background noise. It will take you to an AWS account and you are able to use the AWS. Are we clear about that? Please give me 1 minute. Okay. Okay, thank you. So are we clear about the portal thing? Of course, when over time as you do your project, you get notification. I will send you notification, right? Send you notification. You can do your project. Then, if we have books on our portal, free books on our portal, or whatever books on Terracom or whatever, you get your books here and also. But here is actually where you are going to request your credit. Once I fix this, and here is actually where you are going to have access to the AWS. That's this place. Are we clear about that now? Are we clear about that? That for those, please, it is recommended that if you have your account the best, please don't depend on this our own account. Have your account as a cloud engineer. Have your laptop. I know some of you are dealing with phone. You can't do much with phone, no, please. You need a laptop to be a cloud engineer. You are an engineer and you have to start acting like one, right? I'm not expecting you to have plenty things set up, but as an engineer, please, you need your laptop to be able to do this work. Are we clear about that now? Are we clear? Okay, so I'll just give you just 2 minutes to ask, then we'll move into the business of today. 2 minutes to ask questions, then we'll move into the business of today. So please ask your question, please. You cannot mute. It's an interactive class. That's why this class is different from YouTube. Most of what I will teach you here, if you go to YouTube, you will see it. But the difference is that you interact with me. You can ask your question. I can interact back with you. Do you understand? So that's what makes it different. So I know you can drop chat, but I'm just going to give us like 2 minutes, then we'll move into the business of today. Okay, Elijah, you have a question. Let's go with Elijah. Your hand is up.
Yeah, good evening all.
Good evening.
Yeah, thank you for the effort so far. I just want to be clear on how the class will go with regards to our interaction. I want to know, are we going to be encouraged to, practice the hands-on in between the class, or my opinion is, from experience, I would have loved you take your time, take us through. It is recorded. Maybe towards the end of the class, we can now do it as ourselves, because if you allow us to come in between, there will be distraction, and at the end of the day, we may not really get it right. It is an opinion, please, and contribution. Thank you.
It's actually the plan, right? I will teach you and I will walk you through the lab. I'm going to share my screen, share my own AWS account. If you have 2 screens, right? Some of us already have this 2 screen setup that you can watch and do. Fine. Do you understand? You understand what I mean? Like if you have 2 screens, you have one screen that you're using to see me, you have one screen that you're using to do your own. You log into your AWS account. As I'm clicking, you are clicking. That's fine. That works well. But don't drag me back. I will tell you, just like now, I say, okay, you have 2 minutes for questions, right? I will give you time slot for questions, right? That's one. Number 2, if you don't have 2 screens, you can focus and pay attention. Then, like Elijah suggested, which is actually the plan, after the class, we have this class being recorded. You upload the video on YouTube. You just, I will share the link, go there, watch and learn. And see, whatever I do is not what is on that project, because it's teaching you to think, right? What I do is totally different from what's on your project. I don't need to understand. So it's not, oh, she said I should click here and I click here. Oh, this was what she did to get her own. How can I do it to get my own? I don't know if you understand. So that's the thinking pattern we're also building. It's not just because most of us, we watch videos. Oh, they click, they click, they click. And after you have done the clicking that they click, you can't think, you can't even interpret what you did. Do you get? But if I've then told you, oh, this is it, and on your own, you now go and create it, and you know why, please always have it in mind. Have a reason why you are doing it. Don't do it. If you don't even understand why, go and sit down with ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT, why should I create a VPC? Not just because she said I should create a VPC, I want to create a VPC. And you don't even know why. What is it used for? Why should I create it? How is it applicable in life? How do I use it to help organizations? So if you know the why behind it, you discover that you have passion for it, number one. You'll be enthusiastic about it. Do you understand? And you understand what you are doing. So that when you are standing in front of recruiters or people that want to give you a freelancing job, you have that confidence that this is the reason why this is like this. Are we clear about that? Okay.
Yes.
So I'll just take one more question. Yes, Yakubu, let's go with your question then. That would be
yes, ma. As I said earlier, that tracking project that I'm seeing right now in my dashboard. So I don't know how I started the project.
Just check if there's any project you have unchecked it. If there's any empty project you mistakenly submitted it. Yes, I remember you, Yakubu. You submitted a project. I saw it, but it was kind of an empty project, right? So just check your 5 projects and see if there's anyone you have a check that you've done. Then just uncheck it and you'll be back to the normal. Are we clear about that?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go. Victor has his hand raised. Victor, I will get back to you later. I'm sharing my screen now. We need to move, right? You let me know when you can see my screen, so we need to move. I assume you can see my screen, right?
Yes, you can.
Yes.
So before I dive into the core concepts of AWS and all, right? I first of all want to quickly break down. I'm assuming you people know what is cloud computing. But in case you don't know, I'm here to break it down for you, right? What is cloud computing? Now, let me give you a very simple scenario. Most of us, we have interacted with applications online. The student portal I just showed you now that we are using for this course is an application that is hosted on the cloud. What do I mean? I, as a developer, I wrote a code. I saw a need. These people, I want them to be able to do hands-on project, to be able to be job ready, right? That was the need, right? I've written the code as a developer. I have my code on my laptop. If the code was on my laptop, you cannot have access to it. It's just a code. None of you can have access to it. But because I'm also a DevOps engineer, I was able to build that code, dockerize that code, or whatever I've done to that code, and now have this as a package, and I now deployed it on a server in the cloud. And that's why when I gave you the URL, gettechicchallenge.com, immediately you click on the URL, you landed on my application, which behind it is a code running. I'll show you the code. Do you understand? So you're able to interact with this. How many of you are here? About almost 200 people registered for it. It accommodated 200 people. If 1 million people want to register, all I just have to do is to scale the server, like increase the size of the server I'm using to host the application, and I can take 1 million people. I can take 2 million people. I can take 5 million people. But if that code was running on my own local server, on my own local machine, even if I try to make you access it from my local machine, there's a number of people that will be able to log in. If my machine is a very small, like if I'll say my laptop is 16 gig RAM or 32 gig RAM, and whatever CPU, with time, it can accommodate. I can't scale. So some companies saw that need. Amazon was one of, they saw the need and like, people are having, for a company to be able to host the application for users to use, like we all have our banking app, they are all application hosted. They say, but people are always having to buy server, and if the server is full, they have to buy a bigger server. Why not just let us buy the biggest of all server and start renting out slots of these servers, right? So it's like I have a very big server, and I'm renting out what? Little from it. That is what cloud computing is all about. The cloud computing we are talking about is a server owned by, in this class, we are focusing on AWS, owned by Amazon. All of us know Amazon. Even if you don't know them for cloud provider, you know them because they sell kuli and granules, right? You know them because they sell, right? So, hosted by Amazon, right? They have this server in physical places. It's not in the cloud. But because you access it remotely, you access it over the internet. That's where you say is a cloud what? Computing. But underlying it, they are just servers. Rank of servers that have applications to do a lot of things. Do you understand? So that when a company now have their application, they don't need to go and buy their own servers and start setting it up. Some companies still do based on requirements. That's what we call on-prem servers, meaning the server is on premises. That's what it means, on-prem. You will encounter such words and terminology. So let me use the right terminology for you. It's called on-prem server. Some companies still have it, but it is difficult to scale. It is difficult to manage. right? So that's why when AWS now set up, they're like, okay, companies, you don't need to buy servers, because we even recognize that sometimes you just want to use the server temporarily. Imagine I want this application to just be hosted for the purpose of this class. When will I now go and buy a server to serve you? I can just go to AWS, rent it temporarily, and after I've done with the class, I will destroy my things and I will move on with my life. I don't have any physical server. I'm not spending any money. I only spend for the money I use at that point in time. Right? I hope we are following. So that's actually the whole concept of cloud computing. There are many cloud computing providers, to be honest with you, many of them. The major dealers in the market, that is the big boys in the market, number one is AWS, Amazon Web Service, that's the formula of AWS. Number two is Azure. You people must have heard of Azure. I remember then, when I just saw it, I used to call it Azuri, because it's AZUR, it's called Azure. It's owned by Microsoft, right? Most of us know Microsoft company. Then Google Cloud is another dealer in the market. Most organizations you come across, they are either using one of these three clouds. There are other clouds, to be honest, like Ali, IBM, and all. But the major dealers in the market, any organization you ever work for, go to LinkedIn, Google Cloud Engineer. You see that you're a cloud engineer in AWS, you're a cloud engineer in what? Azure, or you're a cloud engineer in what? Google Cloud. Do you understand? So those are the three major dealers. Like I said, there are other dealers. There was a post I wrote, and there was an image of other cloud dealers, but AWS is always leading. A lot of companies use their AWS, and that's why they're always looking for AWS cloud engineer. If you can actually study and understand AWS, and I'm trusting that by the end of this course, you should boldly be able to apply as a cloud engineer. You can dig deeper, you can learn deeper. I'm not saying that after this one, you are Bruce Almighty, you are. Do you understand? But with the confidence of the project you've done and digging deeper, of course, you have to dig deeper. You keep learning, because they keep new resources, new things every day for you to learn. But you can actually say, I am a cloud engineer. Because you understand the cloud, you can engineer the cloud, meaning you can provision the things, you can manage the things, you can destroy the things, you can make things work on the cloud. Right? I hope you are following me. Are we following? Let me see thumbs up if you are following. Thank you so much. So that is actually the whole concept of cloud engineering. Right? That's just the whole concept. So what does a cloud engineer do? As a cloud engineer, you now go to this AWS cloud, you log into this. It's just an application you are using, but the application is not everybody that can use it. Like now, I just designed a little portal application, and I had to walk you through how the application works, right? But AWS is a very big application. It's so vast, and there are so many areas of specialty. So if you are a data engineer that does anything that has to do with data engineering, like machine learning and all, you have to understand the data engineering part of AWS. If you are a DevOps engineer like me, you have to understand how to provision infrastructures and to make them work, right? If you are a data scientist, you have to understand some data pipeline, data lake, data warehouse on AWS. So it's a very vast infrastructure. And that's why you are taking your time to learn it, so that those companies don't have to learn it for themselves. Then you will now provide the services to them. I don't know if you understand. So that is actually the concept, right? That is the whole concept. So on today's class, we are following the curriculum. The curriculum is also on the student portal. When you are registering for it, you see the curriculum of this class and what we are covering. So I'm not promising that we are covering everything, but we cannot cover everything. For us to cover everything, it will take us 6 months to cover everything. And even me that have been working with the class for over 7 years also, I've not covered everything. So then I said I will cover everything, right? But let's move on. We are going to be looking at the fundamentals. Because for you to fly, you have to understand the basics, right? So we are going to be looking at the fundamentals of AWS Cloud. And what will be our agenda for today? We want to understand how this AWS, how these their servers are provisioned, what they are, how we can recognize what they are, and how we can provision it, right? So today we'll be looking at global infrastructure and a shared responsibility. Another thing I will quickly say is that even after this course, there are some AWS certification. The challenge I have with this certification, you can pass AWS certification without knowing anything on AWS. When I mean that, it's not that you don't know, but without having hands-on, because the certification is more of a theory thing. So you can read and cram, you can pass the certification. So that's why recruiters don't really hide certifications when it comes to all this cloud. But if you have this hands-on and you have certification to back it up, is a plus for you, right? So I just wanted to keep that in. There's a certification route for AWS AWS roadmap, right? So you can explore that, or we can just discuss it in the chat all of this evening. So we'll be looking at global infrastructure and shared responsibility. We'll be looking at identity and access management, IAM, right? We'll be looking at our hands-on lab for today. Then tomorrow, we'll be looking at networking and basic VPC design. You know, we have this class today, tomorrow, then next week again, Friday, Saturday, just like that, right? Then, but our major focus today is going to be on the AWS global infrastructure and share responsibility. As a cloud engineer, you need to know this. You need to know what is my responsibility as a cloud engineer and what is AWS responsibility as a cloud provider. Are you seeing the terminology I'm using? You are the cloud engineer. AWS is what? The cloud provider, right? Please understand this terminology also, because it is very, very important. Okay, so let's move on. What are our learning objectives? We first of all understand what is AWS region, because those are the things you face every day of your life as a cloud engineer, right? What are AWS region? What are availability zones, right? And what are the share responsibility model? You need to understand this thing. Then we'll also be able to explain IAM concepts. What are users? Who is an IAM user? What is the role? What are least privileges? What is MFA, multi-factor authentication? How do you do all of that on your AWS account? It's very, very important, right? Then, of course, today we'll be practicing creating IAM user, role, and security, assuming roles and security. That is what we'll be focusing on today. See, I chunked them up so that we'll be able to have proper understanding. We have time for question. Questioning is key because, like I said, whatever I'm teaching here, you can get it on YouTube to watch anyway. But what makes live class more important is that you have the ability to be able to interact and ask questions that you cannot ask YouTube videos. Do we understand now? Are we clear about that now? Okay, so let's move forward. First of all, we'll be looking at AWS global infrastructure, right? Now, I told you that instead of you to buy a server and deploy your application, AWS told you, don't worry, we are going to buy the servers for you. But the question is, they bought the servers, right? Where are those servers located? Right? Which part of the world are all those servers located? That is where region comes about. They try to provision their servers. So the servers they have in London, or the server they have in London, the server they have in London is a different set of servers they have in the US. They have servers in I think in Africa, they only have a region in South Africa, right? Then they have region in different places. When I mean region, like it's a geographical mapping they map that, okay, this region, we are going to provision our servers. And why do they provision servers in those regions? Because they have more clients in those regions. Let me put it that way. They have clients, and of course, maybe for other reasons like security and whatever it takes to run a server, right? So those are the regions. Now, in a region, so let me give you an example. In a region, we have what we call, let's say there is a region in London, meaning in your head, what you are saying is that, okay, fine, AWS have servers in London. But they didn't just now have it in just London alone. They didn't just have one place bar with all their server in London. They now have what we call availability zones. Meaning, you see those servers, they now share them into zones. This is one zone, like you stay in this place, you stay in this place, you stay in this place. Right? So for some of us that understand the UK, They cannot have some like an availability zone. Say, let's say they put one in Manchester, they put one in Liverpool, right? And they go and put one in, are you getting now? In, let's say, London. The reason why they do that, and they always advise you as an engineer, that when you want to set up a server or you are doing anything, always set it up in what we call multi-AZ. When you have multi-AZ, just simply mean multiple availability zone. AZ, this AZ you are seeing here, you see this AZ you are seeing here, it simply means availability zone, right? So regions are geographical clusters of data centers, each isolated from each other. Each region contains multiple availability zones. So you hear the word multi-AZ, right? Multiple availability zones, which are distinct, physically separated facilities, right? Regions have at least 3 AZs for resilience and high availability. Now, as a cloud engineer, mind these words. These are the words you'll be using. Resiliency, high availability. Those are the words you'll be using, right? What do I mean when they say an application is highly available? Let me deal with this scenario. I know most people on this call are from Nigeria, then others are from different countries also, right? But let me use Nigeria as a scenario, right? I remember then when, although when I don't think it's still like that, there's this exam called JAMB then. When you want to enter the university, you write JAMB, right? So when they want to write JAMB like this, and they say the registration portal is opening today, the tendency of that portal crashing is very, very high. How many of you have experienced that? They'll say the portal has crashed or something like that. The portal always crashed. You know why? I said that the engineer that deployed that application or that set up that server did not consider high availability and resiliency. Because if you set up a high availability infrastructure, it therefore means that even if one part is down, there's what we call a fallover. So you as a user, you will not know it's down because it is so well strategic position that if as this endpoint is down, immediately the redundancy is falling to the next availability zone. So what I simply mean is that if a server in Manchester is down, for example, we know that it's not possible for the same server in Liverpool, right? And then which other place there is, and London to be down. Do you understand? So that's actually what we call, okay, make it to be what? Highly available. And that is why there are some applications, like, of course, we know about this, like AWS cannot afford to be down for whatever reason, right? But even if, of course, I know there was a time they had a downtime, so I stand to be corrected, right? But even if that is what the formal designed, and if they have a downtime, it's not affecting the whole world, it's affecting the region. And it's affected that if it affects a region, you that is in that region, if you have a failover in another region, you are not going to experience that downtime. Well, let me know, I know I'm sounding so technical now, and people are going to attack me for being technical, but we need to use the technical terms. Because when you are standing in front of recruiter, you don't not say, hey, when they should provision the server so that everybody can access it. No, that's not the term. Say you provision a server for high availability, for redundancy, and for scalability. Now you are speaking the English. Do you get what I mean? So knowing the right phrase to use is very, very important. I hope you understand what I mean by region and AZ. And so that it's not just be that you are lost totally. I'm just going to quickly log into an AWS account and I'm going to show you what I mean by those words I just used, right? Okay, so let me see if you can see my screen. Good. I just brought up, yeah, okay. So I just brought up an AWS console here now. Thank you for that. What I simply mean is that for you to be able to, you see this place, this is actually where the region is located. Because I'm in the UK, I mostly deploy my application in London region. And not because I'm in the UK, even you that is a cloud engineer that is in Nigeria, and you want to deploy anything for a company in Nigeria, you mostly use London and or Ireland. You know why? They are the closest region to Nigeria. I don't know if you know what I mean. I know someone will ask me, what about South Africa? Is South Africa not closer to Nigeria than London? I don't know. Somebody should Google it. I don't know if they are closer. But you as a cloud engineer in Nigeria, right? If you want to provision a server in Nigeria, we mostly use either London or Ireland because they are the closest to Nigeria. And there are some, there are some resources that are not enabled, that are still not functioning in South Africa region that you can easily get on London region and all. I'm coming. I know I'm getting you lost, but I will carry you along. Just wait for me. So you can see, this is what I mean. You can see the availability zone they have. Can we see? So we have, can see they group them into United States. These are the regions. Are you getting now? These are the, like, you see, United States, right? You can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, they have 4 regions in the United States alone. Right? Then if you come to Asia Pacific, you can see the regions they have in Asia Pacific, right? Then also, if you come to Canada, I think they only have 1 region, which is the Canada Central. Then if you come to Europe, which I say we mostly provision our own, you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in Europe. Like I said, whenever I'm provisioning, I either use London or Ireland, which is EU West 1 and EU West 2. You need to know this. Of course, we will do them. You understand why you have to provision in this region, right? Then, this is South America. Yeah, I think I disabled my other regions, right? But there are other regions that you can actually see here. I think for the purpose of this account, I disabled the region, but let me just show you the regions quickly. So, the region you deploy your application, how do you choose? Yeah, you can see I disabled them. South Africa is disabled, you can see, because I don't want, and that's another thing. When you join a company, you want to provision something in the region and you can't find that region. It's possible that they disable it. Why? We don't want to provision anything on that region. Why? Our customers are not even in that region. If you are in the UK and the customers you have are within the UK or environment, why should you go and provision your server in Mumbai when number one your customers are not there, or you provision it in America when number one your customers are not there? Do you get what I mean? Now you're asking me, if you provision it in America, does that mean the server is not going to be reachable? It's going to be very highly reachable, but the latency is going to be some milliseconds higher than the region. Let me explain what I mean by that. So I am in the UK. My customers are in the UK, right? I now want to set up a server. I now set up a server in Mumbai, right? Now, I've set up my server in Mumbai. Number one, it will be using Mumbai time. Except I have to configure the server to use UK time. Mumbai to UK, I think is about how many hours difference. So my server is going to be working with Mumbai timing. That's number one you should take note of, right? But apart from that, when I try to retrieve information, so if I go to gettechicchallenge.com, if I provision the server in the UK and it takes 5 milliseconds for me to load that page, if it is provisioned in Mumbai, it might take something like 7 milliseconds to load that page. You might not notice, but those latency counts with time. Do we understand that concept at all? Are we together? Let me see thumbs up to know if I'm still talking to people. Thank you so much. Like now I know. So if you want to go to region under your billing, under your account, you actually be able to see all the regions that AWS supports. Can you see it now? So you'll be able to see all the regions that AWS supports. So that's what I'm trying to explain to you. The region will matters a lot. Some of you will be doing freelancing. Can you see my screen? Yes. Some of you that will be doing freelancing, they'll say you do freelancing on Fiverr or on Upwork, and you have a client and they want you to provision server for them. It is very important for you to know where their customers are, or even the person you are doing freelancing, where is the person located. That will determine, because most times they might not even know or tell you anything about region. You'll be the one to bring it up and like, okay, which region do you think I should provision it based on your location? Do we understand that now? Okay, so let's quickly move back so that we can get some questions. Don't worry, we'll soon open room for questions. I know some of you have a lot of questions, so let's go back to our slide. So I hope with this, you understand region and availability, right? Now, there's what we call share responsibility model in AWS. Every AWS cloud engineer should know. You should know what is your responsibility and what is AWS responsibility, right? So you are the customer. So it's what you put yourself in place of the customer. This is your responsibility as the customer of AWS cloud to do. AWS responsibility is also there. For example, data. Who protects your data? Is it AWS that protects your data? For example, you deploy your application on AWS. The application leaks. You have sensitive data on AWS. And suddenly, your internet have access to your data. Who should we blame? AWS or you? Let's go. I want answer. Unmute and give me answer. Who should we blame if your data leaks? Who should we blame?
It's not
That's
AWS.
ourselves.
Ourselves.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. We blame the customer because AWS does not, they are not responsible to protect your data, right? Data protection, encryption, and retention is your responsibility. And that is why you as a cloud engineer, you need to know how you handle data. For example, my application have registered users. When did I store when you register, your details are stored. That's the only way you can log in back into the portal. That's the only way the portal recognizes you. That's the only way the portal can track your progress in your project. But you have your data, I have your email, your password. I don't have the password, is encrypted anyway. And you didn't use password because we're trying to do passwordless now. You are using Gmail to log in. But I have your email, right? I have what again? Whatever I have, that is the data. How do I protect this data so that someone else will not go and steal your information? Because for me to collect your data, I'm responsible for securing those data. Now, those are just normal little trivial data. How much more about the data of your bank account and bank details? Imagine that they are not properly stored and someone has access to your data. Imagine you have access to the data of banks. So imagine you are a cloud engineer for a bank and you don't set up the server so well and protect the data. I can't even say an account. A malicious person just go and have access to those data. For example, if I have access to my bank data, I just need to just add 50 in the front of whatever number that is there, and I'm good, right? I know some of you will add 10 0, but me, I'll just add 50 and just walk away. Do you understand? The company cannot hold AWS responsible. The engineer is one that is going to be held responsible for any data that's not protected, not. Then platform and OS, right? For example, you set up servers. I told you set up server. We'll be setting up server in Discord. You even see that you can set up your Windows. You see this your Windows laptop you have. You can set up an AWS. You can set up Windows server. You can set up Ubuntu server. The operating system, who manages it? Who updates it? Who, if there's a security vulnerability, who patches it? It's not AWS. You have provision, you have provision. It is you that is the engineer that should maintain patches. So, for example, you're a cloud engineer, you provision a database server for a company, and AWS send you a notice that, oh, the operating system needs to be updated. If you don't apply the updates and the vulnerability and I can't use it to access your data, you can't blame AWS. It's your responsibility. Do we understand that? So, give me thumbs up if I know you understand. I just want to see that interaction so that I won't be talking to myself. Okay, thank you so much. So it's your responsibility, right? It is your responsibility. So you have to learn about security. I will be doing security group in this course. How do you secure it? How do you make sure that nobody have access to the server except only the authorized people? And who are even the authorized people? Who have access to your information is very, very key. Then the next one is compute and storage. Your instance, your data volume, you are responsible for it. But you see that physical server. So I told you that the cloud computing thing, that AWS just bought plenty server and put in one place, right? AWS is responsible for managing those physical servers. As I'm talking to you now, if AWS go and off their server, all the application will be down. There's nothing I can do about it, right? But they are responsible for maintaining that server to keep it up, to make sure it is working as expected. Are we still together? Okay. Then that's for the physical server. AWS is responsible. Meanwhile, for the server you provision, you are responsible. Then security group, NACO group, VPC, any configuration, you as the engineer, you are responsible. You as the engineer, you are responsible for configuration. If an hacker hack into your system and they steal sensitive information, you cannot blame AWS. You have to be blamed, right? So the engineer is responsible for any security configuration, while AWS is responsible for the networking fiber to make sure your data are well transferred, to make sure that this server A can communicate with server B. They are making sure that all the fibers they run well as expected. Then, of course, the physical is AWS that is responsible. So what are we saying in conclusion? We are saying that customers are responsible for securing their data, managing their operating system and platform configurations, and implementing IAM policies and network control, right? While AWS manages the underlying physical server. So that's the shared responsibility model. For some of you that will write certification, this is part of the certification question that comes up, right? I hope we are clear about this. Okay, so what is you as a customer's responsibility? Don't worry, I'll also open room for questions. I will open about like 15 minutes for us to ask questions. Then we'll delve into the lab. We are working with time, so we are still in line. What is your responsibility as a customer? Number one, is to be able to define IAM policy. Don't worry, you don't know that, but we're doing that today in this class, defining IAM policy, right? IAM policy and user management and roles. Do you know that some company can just employ you just to come and manage their AWS customer and to come and manage their users for them on their AWS account? And that's just the reason why they employ you. That's the simplest work you can ever do in this life, right? I will show you that today. Secure operating system through patching and configuration. Every server you set up, most of them have operating system. They are the one that is meant to secure them. That is your work as a cloud engineer. So I know at the end of this class today, some of you go to LinkedIn, change your role to a cloud engineer. It's accepted because you know share responsibility. You know what you are responsible for. You know what AWS is responsible for. And you know how to create a user. You're a cloud engineer for the love of God, right? Then encrypt and protect data at rest and in transit is your responsibility. Then configure networking, which is all part of this class. You'll be able to configure your VPC, your subnet, your security group, your NACO. NACO simply means network access control layer. You'll be able to set all those things up. Then you should be able to monitor application, audit log, and suspicious activities. If there's, oh, can anyone hear me? Say my mic is off. Okay.
Well, disturbing us with this video.
Okay.
No, we can hear you clearly.
Okay. So if there's any security vulnerability, like I said, you, the cloud engineer, you are to blame, right? Okay. Then, of course, AWS responsibility, they manage the physical server for you. They provide virtualization, which will go with when you are setting up EC2 instances or you are setting up servers. You will see that. They protect the hardware themselves, right? They maintain software and provide source upgrade and operate regional and edge infrastructure globally. They make sure that these infrastructure are highly available. Okay, so we'll move to the security best practice and we'll be moving to our lab very, very soon, right? So let's just cover it. Then we'll go to question and answer. Then we'll go to our answer for today, right? What are the security best practices? Number one, you should make sure that you ensure this privileged access across all the identities. What do we mean by that? You as a cloud engineer, you have to make sure that you don't give people the unnecessary permissions. Even though they work in your company, they work in the company you work on. As an engineer, don't give people unnecessary permission. For example, they say, oh, I want you to give this engineer access to this. You go and give the engineer access to the whole account, right? You are to blame, right? You are to blame for that. Then enable multi-factor authentication. You should make sure that every AWS account created, you enable multi-factor authentication. Meaning, nobody should just get your username and password and log in. They should be able to have a blocker, which is to be able to what? Ask, oh, what authentication? Maybe send authentication to your either email or to your phone. There's app that we use for this authentication that you can use, right? Then you should be able to regularly patch the hardware and the operating system, encrypt the data, then use logging and monitoring to detect any abnormalities in your account. Okay, now we'll quickly be looking at access and identity and access management on AWS account. What I'm simply saying, let me just quickly share my screen. Good. What I'm simply saying is that if you come to AWS account. When you go to IAM, IAM means Identity and Access Management. This is actually when you manage user access on AWS, right? You give people access, you give people permission, you revoke their permission, you add to their permission. This is actually where you do it, right? This is the dashboard. What level of permission can you give? What level of permission can you take? This is actually where everything lies, right? So this is IAM, and that's what we'll be talking about. It just, when you hear the word Identity and Access Management, it's just a way of us giving access to users on our AWS accounts. And yes, as a cloud engineer, that might be your major role, or that will be one of your roles, whereby you, the cloud engineer, you are the one that provide access to developers. You are the one that give developers access. You are the one that give the customer finance department access. You restrict what they can read and what they cannot read, right? Are we sit together? Are we sit together? I can't hear anything again. Give me thumbs up if you know we are sitting together. If you are following, I want to see that thumbs up. Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, we can hear you, man.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so IAM, it provides central control over who is authorized and authenticated. Now in cloud, there's what we call authentication and authorization. Hope we know that those two words are different. Authentication is different from authorization, right? You can authenticate it to an account, but are you authorized to perform a particular action? It is IAM we use in doing that, right? It enables you to grant granular permission to a user or a service, right? You can grant a permission to a user or a service. Please take note, I'm emphasizing on this now. IAM is where you give users, is where you give what? Permissions. Because if you are being taken to a company as a cloud engineer, this is one of the things you must know. You must be able to give user permission, not just give any permission, but detailed permission that they need to perform what they need to perform. It is what you must give. Then what are the key concepts? User identity for human operation, group and roles, right? We do group and roles. I will show you that. Then we do policy. It's in a JSON format, but AWS make it easier. You can actually generate those JSON. So you don't need to know how to write a JSON file to be able to generate this. Then, of course, multi-factor authentication. Most of us have this, right? We use it every day. So we're going to see how to enable it on AWS accounts. Okay. Now, there are three major entities you must know in AWS. Three major entities. What is the first one? User. An IAM user. Who is an IAM user? Me and you. Most of you, when you created your AWS account, you were the root user, and you'll be advised to create an IAM user. Although the IAM user should be able to have some, like, let me say, an administrative rights, but don't always use your root user on your AWS account, right? So that if I create all of you in my account, you are an IAM user, right? You are able to do a work. You can be, now depend on the permission I give to you, we restrict what you can do or what you cannot do, right? So that's for you that group. A group is when, instead of me giving everybody permission, different people permission, I can group it together like, okay, what people do I have? I have intermediate people. I'll put them in a group called intermediate. I have beginners, put them in a group called beginners. I have advanced, put them in a group called advanced. And that's okay for the advanced users of AWS, they should be given administrative access, right? For the intermediate users of AWS, they should just be given something like power user access, or they can do this, they can do this, they can do that. Then for the beginner group, I just want them to be able to just read and just go around, but they should not be able to delete anything. Remember, they are beginners, so that they will not go and delete production server. So that's actually why we have grouping, to apply the different permissions to, right? It can be finance group, developers group, administrative group. You always do that and manage that. Then role. Role is not a permanent thing, it's a temporary access. But you don't give role to a user, you give role to a service. What do I mean? For example, you want your EC2 instance to be able to communicate with your database. You can now create a role for that EC2 user to use as a means to what communicate with the database. When we do the practical, you'll be able to see it, right? Group and roles simplify permission management by aggregating privileges and delegating them securely. So it simplifies the way you manage users, manage permissions of every user. Very simple. If I attach a policy to a group, anybody I put on that group automatically inherits that policy. I hope I'm not speaking on a very high note for you to understand. So this is actually the IAM policy. I know some people will say, hey, code has appeared again. No, I told them I don't want code. Code does not appear anywhere. This is just what we call a JSON format, right? And like I told you, AWS already have the way of generating this thing for you. This is a JSON format, and just saying what is the action, are you aligning? What are you aligning this person to do? I want this person to be able to get an S3 bucket and to be able to list the things in S3 bucket. So the person can fetch S3 bucket and list the things. This person cannot delete anything in S3 bucket. This person cannot do much on that S3 bucket. So this is actually an example of the policy I've been talking about. So policy are JSON document that define what action are allowed or denied on a user or a resource. So let me take an example. So for example, I take Victor on this call. I create Victor on my AWS account. I say, oh, Victor, you now have access to my AWS account. Victor logs in. Victor notices that I cannot click on anything. Anything he wants to click on, access denied, access denied, access denied. But it goes and click on a bucket called example bucket. It's happy, hey, this one is not giving him access denied. He's able to see the bucket. And now say, oh, let me go try and delete something. He wants to delete access denied. What I've just simply done is to give him his policy that is affecting him, right? I've tightened the policy that even though it's on that account, the only thing can actually have access to just this bucket. So that's actually how it works, right? Okay, let's move on. Least privilege. You must only grant, I'm emphasizing this, it is key. Don't think it's just theory. We will do it, it's there. You must only grant what the person is required to have. Don't grant more than that. That's what we call least privilege. For those of you that will be writing your AWS solution architect, you will see this question, or AWS, I think foundation or something. These questions are always there. Least privilege, always grant what is required and not more than that. It's very important. Reduce buckets, like you should be able to reduce what the person needs. Don't just be permissive. Don't just be permissive. No, give what we call the least privilege. So you can see in this chart, being permissive means that just give the person bar. The person only wants level 1. You give the person level 8. No, or you go and give the person, say, hey, let me just be generous, give the person level 4. The person can go and do damage in that level 4. So just give them, if they want level 1, give them level 1. If they want to have access to level 2, they should ask you for access, you give them access to level 2. They'll keep raising tickets and keep giving them that access. I hope we are clear. Okay, then of course we have our multi-factor authentication, meaning that for every AWS account you create, you must tell or enforce the user to have MFA on that account. Multi-factor authentication, so that anybody having access to their username and password cannot just log in and cause havoc on your environment. They will be asked for token, either through SMS or there's a software called Authenticator or OT. You have it and use that one to authenticate into it. Okay, so now we'll be going straight to our lab. We are going to be creating an IAM user and we're going to give the person an administrative privilege. But before that, we are working with time. We have 15 minutes to ask questions and we have interaction time. So let's go over to you. You have 15 minutes to ask questions. Your hands up if you have a question and you can just wait. Questions so far on what we've been discussing, what you want a proper understanding on. Let us see. I see your hands. Okay, Emmanuel, your hand is up. So let's go first. Emmanuel, let's go. We have
for the lecture. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, also thanks for the lectures. Concerning IAM, that is Identity Access Management, I know we have the policy and the user. Now, sometimes I remember when I was trying to learn it, and you discover that, let's say you are trying to launch something and that requires several policies. I don't know if you get my point, ma.
Yes.
Several policies. So how do you know? Sorry, I'm outside. How do you know the policy like you are to assign to that particular project you are doing? Let's say you're trying to do something. Let's talk about you are doing something in VPC, and let's say something is not just happening. You are not getting something right. Okay, let's say like Terraform. You are trying to deploy something and you are not getting something right. Then now you now discover that okay, it has to do with a policy issue. So how do you know the policy you are supposed to assign to that particular infrastructure or something? That's just my question.
I love your question, and I will answer it. Thank God you even use the example of Terraform, right? So that's why I always said, right? Their courses, their tutorial, but you need to first of all even understand. You don't get this into your, like, as an engineer, you need to understand what you are provisioning, why you are provisioning it before you even provision. I know most times we fall into this challenge of we are following a tutorial course, right? And they say, oh, yeah, do this, and just do that. Without even asking, why am I doing this? So based on that question, if you are using Terraform, you have to check. So for example, you want to provision EC2 instance with Terraform, right? You now go and say, okay, EC2, I want to provision EC2 instance. So I need to give Terraform access to EC2. The question is, to what degree does Terraform even need access to the EC2? Because if I give Terraform access to EC2, Terraform needs to provision that EC2 in a VPC. Are you seeing that? So if I know that Terraform was provisioned in a VPC, so I have to give Terraform EC2 VPC. But I know most of the thing we just do, I say, I will let this thing just work, just give administrator rights, and you are done. You can do that when you are learning, but in an organization, it's not allowed. You have to find out what permission. So if it means you keep doing it and to tell you, oh, it's because I don't have this permission, you give it that permission, I don't have this permission, until you have a fine-grained permission for that result before you can permission it. I don't know if you understand what I mean. Because if you go and give, for example, you give that your Terraform user an administrative permission to create EC2, and I have access to the IAM secret key and access key you use, and it's an administrative permission, I can use that Terraform DC to log on. Normally, if I just given only the EC2 instance, meaning the only thing I can do is just EC2. But I cannot use that DC to log on and like, oh, I will now go to another place and go and provision Kubernetes cluster and deploy my workload. Do you understand? And even kind of block that region. So you won't be hitting money in your account, but and say, but I didn't provision anything in another region. This is the region I'm using. And by the month end, especially if you don't set budget and alerts on your account, and you start investigating what happened, by month end, you go to your account and you see that I've incurred on you about $10,000. Do you understand? So because we did not have the annual application that it requires. I hope I answered that question.
Okay, yes, ma'am, you did.
So yeah, I understand it can be painful, retreating, and retreating. But yeah, it's just what it is, right? It's just what it is. So you just have to be able to follow up with that. Okay. Yeah. Another question. Someone else raised their hand. Let's see. Yes. Yakubu, let's go.
As I said earlier, I'm a beginner, so I don't clearly understand the IAM concept. I tried creating the IAM account, but up till now, I've not completed the account creation.
Okay.
I'm stuck while creating the account.
Do you have AWS account? Do you have AWS account?
I have the root user account, I think.
Oh, you have your root user account. Were you able to? Yes. Okay, but you could not create IAM user, right?
Yes.
Okay, that is what will be demoing, and I will show you all of that. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yes, which other persons? Emmanuel, you still have your hand raised up. I will answer your question.
Oh, sorry, that must have been a mistake.
Okay, that's fine. Any other question, please? Is there anyone clear about what we just said so far? We started from cloud computing, the important why company uses it, right? And we went down to IAM. Any other questions so far on this? Are we clear? You have room now. This is what you will not get on YouTube, but you can ask questions on YouTube, right? So let's go. Which questions you can ask? You might think it's foolish, but you can ask. This is our time for questions, actually. So let's utilize it. Are we still there? Please, can we just stop us? Let me know we are still there. Oh, I'm only talking to Emmanuel, and yeah, I can't really see you all. So okay, I'm happy that we are still there. Okay. So yeah, Victor, yes, let's go into a question.
Okay, man. don't really have a serious question that much, because just like you said, some of us have materials, but when you are in a class like this, you get to understand, because of these white guys, sometimes their accent is really, and they don't use real time example, like just the examples you give, where you get to explain something and then you use a real life scenario. Let's say, assuming you're hosting an app like the portal you did. So I just wanted to say that we're following.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other questions? Yes, Ahmad.
Yes. So my question is regarding this security practice. Please can you like elaborate more?
On the security practice, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for that. So let me give you a scenario, right? Like I told you, I said AWS is just is a remote server, right? You as an engineer, okay, so now Farouk, after this class, right? Let's assume after this class, you were feeling like the big boys, yeah, I'm not a cloud engineer, and you are like, you are really, you are happy. So you just go to Upwork and just put, I'm a cloud engineer, chat me up if you want me to orchestrate, use the grammar. If GPT coin the grammar for you, reach you up to orchestrate your AWS cloud for you. And really, someone reach you up and like, oh, please, I have this application I want to deploy. It's a sensitive application in the sense that it processes a lot of finance, like it's an e-commerce application. The developers have actually written the code for me, but I want you to deploy it, right? And I want it to be, of course, it might not be able to tell you the detail of scalability, availability, and all. But I said, can you deploy this application for me? Now, this application is going to be processing a lot of money, like inflow and outflow, right? So because you are a big boy, you now go and say, yes, I've done this. And you go to AWS and say, okay, fine. He has an EC2 instance. Of course, we have to go deep down. I don't want to go deep down into the rabbit hole of, is it a monolithic application? Is it a microservice architecture? Leave that one for the DevOps engineer like me to answer, right? But now it just gives you the repository. It gives you a GitHub and say, this is my application deployed. And you look and like, okay, this application, based on what I understand, I can actually deploy this application on an EC2 instance, right? Meaning you create a server and you deploy the application on the server. Then you give him a URL so that I can access the application. Just like I gave you Get Techie Challenge, and you're able to access the URL, right? Right? Are you following? Farouk,
Yes,
right?
I'm following.
Now, because you're a big boy, you now go to AWS, bang, 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 you now set up your EC2 instance. You are now feeling happy. Before you know, you just like just did wrote one code that GPT gave to me. As you just wrote the command, boom, the code just built, like you created a pipeline, which is CI/CD we'll be talking about. Boom, as you created the CI/CD, bam, you just entered your EC2 instance. It gives you a public IP address, and you're like, hey, see IP address. So, and you really just type 142.d, and then you type the IP address. Ooh, it just show, welcome to the shopping mall, and you are seeing shopping carts. Hey, I want to buy this, I want to buy this. You are not feeling happy. I'm the big boy. Then it's okay, fine. How can I even type this IP address to the domain name? Because the guy gave you a domain name, for example, shoprite.com. And you now also ask GPT, how can I type this out? GPT is going to say, go to Route 53, do this. And you just went there, Route 53, do this. And then you just type shoprite.com or your URL. Bah, you just saw the application come up today. Hey, I want to buy this, You are not feeling like, oh my God, I'm the best cloud engineer in the world. Then you gave the guy the URL. The guy pays his money. 3 days later, the guy tell you the server is down. You say, how can this server be down? Me, I'm a big boy. You also enter the URL. Boom, cannot be accessed. Wait till happen. Server offline. Contact this number to get your server back. Kilo day now. What happened? You now discover that when you created the server, your security group of that server, you left it at 0.0.0.0/0. That IP address is an internet IP address. And not only that, you did the SSH, you now open SSH, like you enable the SSH port, to 0.0.0, meaning anybody from the internet can just SSH into your server. So somebody who was, of course, they are always what we call a crawler. All these accounts, they set a crawler, crawling and checking, is there any of all these vulnerability? So somebody just crawl and just who is this person? And guess what? Even the SSH, your username was user, your password was password, right? And the person doesn't use that password. And the person had access to your application, the person deploy a layer and tell you to contact him to get your application and then encrypt your server. You did not secure the application, right? What you will have done is those security practice. Number one, never open SSH to anybody. Sure, don't even open SSH port. If you must even SSH into that server, use SSM. If you cannot use SSM, for example, you wanted GitHub to be able to deploy the code to DC, even when you enable the SSH for yourself, immediately you are done, disable it even for yourself. You must say that you should allow only your IP address. That's number one. Number two, why will you deploy such an application? Why will you deploy the server in a public subnet when you are supposed to put it in a private subnet and put a load balancer in the public subnet and like you are layering it up? So those are the security. Like I said, it goes down and down and down. Do you understand? So if you just go and just deploy server without considering those things, hackers can attack your server, seize everything, and you have to pay for it, right? I remember that server has users' information, people that have bought, people that want to return goods, and it just kind of spiraled down. I hope I answered your question. Farouk.
Yes, thank you.
So that's why you need to understand, first of all, for the purpose of this application, should I deploy it on the public subnet, on the private subnet? Do I, even WAF, what do I use to protect it? Is there a security group? What should I allow? What should I not allow? What should I do? So those are the things you as a cloud engineer need to put in place to be able to actually deliver what you are delivering. Okay, I think we have room for one more question, then we'll go to our hands-on and do some demo. Yes. Are we done with questions? Any other question?
Yes, ma. I tried removing that project that is being processed by default in my end, so it is not still working.
Okay, don't worry. Just drop your email with me, right? Drop your email on the WhatsApp group, and I will attend to that, right? So that you can do that at the end of this class. Okay, without any further questions. So please, you have room to ask questions. Like I said, that is the advantage of a live class, right? You are able to ask for clarification and you're able to get done. So I'm going to go straight to AWS account. The first thing we are going to be creating, okay, Okome, you have just is it Okeme, please, you have just
okay. I just wanted to ask about Terraform, if you can throw more light on what Terraform is all about.
We'll be doing that. If you check the curriculum, we'll be doing that later, right? That's when you actually have an understanding. If you check the curriculum, I think that will be our week 4. Right there,
Okay.
explain Terraform. You can see we're trying to go far to the beginning so that people are able to actually follow along, right? If you start talking about that when you've not settled the major basics, you can just throw other people off. Okay. So that being said, let's go back to our AWS account. Yeah, we will give room for questions later, but we are working with time here. Okay, so this is my IAM dashboard. Remember I told you IAM is where you manage your identity, right? So this is my own IAM dashboard, right? So, Yakubu, what you have done, I want to create a user. You just will come here, click on user.
That's right? Your screen.
Oh, thank you for that. Sharing now. Let me know when you can see my screen. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Good. So, if Yakubu, so when you come to IAM, right, from AWS, wherever you find yourself, you see this search bar is very effective. Just type IAM, right, and it will bring you to IAM, right? Manage access to AWS resources. This is actually where all access management takes place. So you click on IAM, right? When you click on IAM, it brings you to this nice IAM dashboard. Yeah, I told you that you can create user, you can create group, you can create role, then you attach policies to them, right? So let's start with Yakub's question. We want to create a user, right? I'm going to create a user now. I'll just come to user. Very simple. When I come to user, can you see? Create a user. So I'm going to come and click on create a user. What is the username? So for example, like I said, you are an engineer in a company, right? And they just employ a new developer. The name of the developer is Farouk, right? Or let me use a name I can just say. I can't say Farouk. The name of the developer is Elijah, right? And they say, oh, they now call you like, oh, Farouk, don't worry. Sorry, I cannot spell your name. So they now say, oh, we want you to create a user for Elijah because we just, like during the onboarding process of Elijah, we want you to create a user for Elijah. You say, okay, that's fine. What is his name? Elijah. Elijah, I cannot spell your name. So I'll just say Elijah AV, right? You just come here, user, and you go with Elijah. Easy. But most time if you create it like this, you might have some issue, right? So either you put Elijah.az, which is very, very common convention of organization creating names, right? It's a convention. You don't space it because you might not be able to, it will really work. There are even policy to it, right? I to tell you, username can have about 36 characters, A to Z, capital letter A or small letter A, 0 to 9, this, hyphen, and this. There is no space. You cannot put space in username, it will not work. You understand? So I've just do this. Now, please pay attention. I've typed his name. What access? Remember, I keep telling you about access. What does Elijah, the new developer, really needs? Does Elijah need to log into AWS console and see things for himself? Or Elijah is a guru, is a terminal guy. He does not want to have anything to do with clicking the UI. Like when I make console, when you hear me say console, you see this thing I'm clicking and showing you, this is the console. All these things I'm doing, you can also do it from the terminal. What do I mean by terminal? Let me show you. If you go to your browser and go to your machine and type your laptop and type terminal, right? We call it command prompt or whatever. The terminal is just a blank page, right? Maybe Farouk is a terminal. I say Farouk. Elijah, the new developer, is a terminal guy. He does not like clicking anything. He likes to write code. He wants to, if he wants to list AWS, he can just say AWS console, and you go see AWS. He will just be listening and writing. It therefore means if Elijah is that kind of developer, or in your company, they say, no, we don't give developer UI access. Remember, you have to understand, does your company give developer a UI access? You understand what I mean by that? Meaning, this console, do they give access? If they give console access, you see this small checkbox, that's when you click on it and like, yes, they should be able to log in to the console. They should be able to enter username and password and click and click and click. But the truth is, some developers and some engineers, they don't even come to this UI at all. Everything is done on their terminal, right? So in such case, if your organization don't give console access, you don't have the right to click on this. I hope we are clear about that. Let me see thumbs up if you are clear about this analysis. But for, yeah, okay, thank you. I'm happy you are clear. So I'm just going to click on this, right? And password, you are going to auto-generate password. Don't generate password for anybody. Not only that you are going to auto-generate password, the person must change their password. Don't force them to remember your password that you generated for them, right? The person must show. So now I say you should auto-generate password. I can just click on show password, right? But I don't even need it. That's if I'm typing a custom password. But no, it should be, if you are creating for somebody, it will be what? Auto-generate password. So it will generate a password, right? Then you must also check on this. User must create a new password at next sign in. Meaning anytime the user wants to sign in again, they must what? Create what? A password, right? Then after that, that's all you need for this. You click on next. Can we see? Now, this Elijah that the company just employed, you know, I was telling you people about group, that you use group to be able to manage permissions better. Is Elijah going to be an admin or just going to be a developer group? But now, see, we did not even create a developer group, so we're not going to put Elijah in any group. But if I were you, I would have either have a developer group created first, or you can still create a developer group here And that's why this button is there, because they know that it's possible you have not created a group before, right? So you come here and say what? Create a group. If you first read this software, I say, okay, fine, let us create the group. What is the name of the group? I can ask, okay, I want this group to be what? A developer group, right? Now, this developer group I'm creating, what permission should they have on this AWS account? Can you see? By default, AWS has already cut off all the permission. Probably I left that quick. They've already thought about all the possible permission you can have, right? I don't need to answer what I mean. Just give me a minute. I left that place. Okay, yeah, we'll have to just get back. So, create a group. Create a group, right? What permission are you looking at? I said by default, they've already what? Start of all the permission, but that does not mean you cannot do your own fine-grained permission, right? So they have the developers group. Then, as a developer, in most companies, we give them what we call power user access to the others. So I'm just going to search for the policy called power user. You can see power user access. Now, the question is this power user access. I'm going to select it first, but I'm going to show you the permission that in this power user access. Then I'm going to create a group, right? So I have created a group with power user access. Now, remember, in as much as I've created a group, it now brought me back to, you still remember that I was creating Elijah user, right? It now brought me back to it. Now I can now select this group. Can a user be in more than one group? The answer is yes. Right? I can actually say I want him to be a developer and I want him to be this. The question is who now proceed? Like who have higher say? Right? So I will leave that one for you to find out. I can't just be giving you food, cheap foods to eat. If a developer belongs to two groups with different permissions, and one is higher than one, which permission do you think the developer will actually assume? So, but for the purpose, we'll leave Elijah on this group. Then what? We click on next. Even before clicking on say, you see this set permission boundary, we can still drop down and set some permission boundary for him also, like for the group or for him. Then we'll click on next, right? We can have a tag. This is a new developer. It's always advisable to have a tag. So what is the tag? I can just say purpose, right? This is the user for Elijah, right? Let's put it that way. Then I'll come here and click on create user. Now we have our Elijah user, but look at the console. See, it has the password. Remember we said she was to generate password, right? So it has generated the password. This is the username Elijah.az, the password, right? You can either copy this, but it's not advisable. You can actually send the email instruction to the new developer guy. He will get his email and the link that he will use, right? So if I email this now, I say, okay, I want to email Elijah. Of course, it's going to bring up my email, whatever, but I don't want to use that. I can either email it or I will download this CSV. Now, what should you do? In a company's organization, send email. Because email is always official, right? So that there will be a documentation that you actually created the user for the person. Do you understand? If not, Elijah can come and say, I joined the company and they ask Farouk to create a user for me, and Farouk never did. But you have email. There's one called email trail. You have email to show that you created, that Farouk created user for Elijah. Are we still together? Can we hear me at all? Hey, my people are sleeping. No, nobody's responding. Okay.
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Yeah, I just wanted to hear that.
Yes,
So,
we can hear you.
you can either download the CSV, right? Right? Or you email. Like I said, if you are doing for a company, email is the best so that you can have email trail. And many of you that work in an organization, you understand the essence of email, right? So you can actually email this. If you bring up your email box, you can send the email. I'm not going to send email, right? But I'm going to download it. I can download it. I can just copy this. But what I'm trying to show is that, okay, let me copy this, right? What I'm trying to show is that when whatever you download, to show the person this URL, so this person has the URL to log into, right? And he's going to add the person for the temporary password. So let's just do that now. So I'm going to copy this URL first, open a different browser. I hope you can see it. Now, assuming a different person is using it, I will click on console and it will bring me, can you see? It will bring me here. It's because it's already had my details. That's why it's just shining for me. So this is not actually working as expected, but it will bring me here. Then what is the user? The user is actually, I'll come back here. Oh, it says it can sign me out. You're not supposed to use it on the same browser. So if you sign me out just because it's thinking that I already signed up. Now let's sign back in. We're supposed to use a different browser altogether to be able to do this. So let me just sign back in and we'll continue with that, right? But when you are doing your project, please try the signing with URL and all. See now, and I've lost that user. That's good. I'm even happy I lost that user. Did I even create the user? Did I create the user? Let's go. Yes, we created the user, but we didn't download the credentials, nothing. If you want to change password for a user, it's also your responsibility to change the password for a user. What do? You come to the user, you click on the user, right? You come to security credentials. Are you seeing it now? Then you see this manage console access, you click on it, right? From here, you can actually revoke the person's access. You can reset the person's password. You see the auto-generated password, right? When you say the person should change password, are you seeing now? User must create a new password as sign-in, right? Then you reset password for this user. If you reset password for this user, if you still give the user password, which is auto-generated, I can show that to you, right? And person can now, so that's how you reset password for a user. Are we clear about that? Is that clear at all? So when we now look at this user now, this Elijah user, what permission does Elijah user have? If I click on permission, by default, Elijah has what we call the power user, and Elijah has this is the default ability to be able to change password. Because when I was creating the user, I said that Elijah can change password. Do we get that now? So Elijah comes to, if I want to see the permission he has, if I click on this arrow, and I can see the list of permissions that Elijah has. Are we together now? So these are the actions he has. What he can do is a global permission. You get that Elijah have. That's then also he can change password. So you can see him is able to change password. So you can see you don't really need to be writing this code yourself, to be honest. It has the ability to be able to, I get now. Just that these power users are not action. You cannot create IAM, you cannot create an organization, you cannot have access to account, but you can actually have access to every other thing. Okay, are we together? Now, I think the first thing we say is how can we create an administrative user? I will quickly delete Elijah and I will use Elijah also as an example to create an administrative user. So delete a user is very simple. Just click on the user and click on delete, right? And if you tell you, oh, do you want to delete, you just have to write the word confirm and you are able to delete Elijah user. You delete users when they are no longer in the organization, when there's no need for them anymore, you are able to delete them. Okay, so now that we deleted Elijah, if he's still there, just click on this refresh button. Elijah is gone. You can quickly create a user for Elijah again by not adding him to a group, but by giving him direct permission, right? So we're still coming to come here like Elijah. Elijah is just like, what is I to do about to do? Elijah dots, right? So then, do I want to provide console access for Elijah? I can see yes, I want console access for Elijah. Then it's going to be auto-generated. When I next, it's going to ask me, do I want to add Elijah to a group? I don't want to add him to a group. Do I want to copy permission from one person to another? No. I want to attach permission to him direct. When I click on this, it's going to bring out all of this. What permission do I want to add to Elijah? Can you see it now? I can ask, okay, I want, because this is actually part of your project. Is it? No, it's not. I want administrative access for Elijah. Can you see it now? And after this one, I click on next, then create user Elijah. And when I go back and check user Elijah, what will I see? When I come back and check user Elijah, I think finish creating it. Anything of them. Okay, I can see that Elijah has the administrative permission. What can administration do? An administrator can do. Can you see? Allow action or resource or. This star means that you allow all for all resource. Means that Elijah is an administrative user. Now, how do I make sure that Elijah set MFA? Can you see now? When Elijah logged into his account, he can now like, oh, I want to enable MFA, and Elijah is able to what? Enable MFA on his account. If I'm the account, there's one called the Authenticator app, like I said. You can actually use the Authenticator app, and from there, you write the name of your device, and you're able to create a multi-factor authentication for the user Elijah. Are we clear with that? Do we have any question regarding this? We have, yeah, we have 5 people regarding this.
I have a question. Sorry.
Yes, please.
Okay, so concerning the administrator, the policies that was assigned to Elijah,
Yeah.
is it the company that tells the DevOps or the cloud guy that okay, these are the assets or these are the things you should do for the developer?
Yes. So it's a two-way coin, right? So you are a cloud engineer in a company, and they tell you create assets for this person that just joined. Depend on who is giving the instruction, right? So it's possible you have an engineering manager, you have a CTO, and say create assets for this person. It's the CTO that you cannot ask what level of assets should I give to this person. But it can also be like, for example, there's a company I work in Nigeria, like I'm the sole custodian. I know the assets, right? Like I'm the sole custodian of that account. So if anybody comes, based on what I know this person does, will determine the assets I will give to the person. So it depends on the leadership you are in the organization. You can either determine the assets yourself based on, like I said, your leadership, or you listen to a leader that tells you the assets to give. Does that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am, that it does.
Yeah. Yeah, Idom, let's go. Let's answer you, then we'll quickly move forward.
Yes, thank you. I am currently I have a double screen, so I have the opportunity to go along with you. But I noticed creating the user here after I get the permission option. So when I choose power user access, it automatically did not create. It actually took me to another page where I have other informations. I don't know.
Okay, maybe you clicked on. Did you see how I was actually checking the button at the side? Like, okay, so let's say I want to give Elijah more permission. Of course, administrative permission is the highest permission you can give, right? But let's say I want to give him more permission. Even after I've created him, you see this place, there's what called add permission. If I click on add permission, right, I can click on add permission. So follow me through, right? You know, either I'm adding permission to him, maybe I'm adding to a group, but I want to attach policy direct to him, right? I will not click on this. If I click on this, it's going to take me to that page, like you just said. Can you see?
Okay.
But not to click on that. I'm going to click on the check box. Can you see what I did?
Okay.
Do you get it now? I'm not clicking on it. I'm clicking on the check box by it. Then after that, just scroll down and click on next. I hope that resolves the issue.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So can we move forward now? Can we go? So back to our slide, let's see. So we have created user. By the reason of us creating user, we actually created group. Okay, no. But if you still want to create a group, you can just come here and click on user group, right? And we can actually delete this group and create it, right? So I will delete the developer group. Right? Then I'm going to create the developer group again. Just come here, click on create group. You know, the first developer group we created by the reason of creating a user. I wanted or do want to create a group. But I can just come here and create a group, right? And see call it can just call it devs. Right? Can just call it devs, right? It's not asking me, do I want to already add user to a group? Meaning I can create a group and actually allocate users to a group, right? But I don't want to add that to a group, but I need to put permission. Do I create permission immediately? It's possible I still don't create permission. I can just come and click on create group. But you know that anybody add to this group, for example, there's no permission in that group. Do you understand? So if I click on this devs group, right, it's not even having any permission. If I click on permission, You can see there's no permission, no resource to display because there's no permission. I can see come here and add permission, right? Attach policy, and I'm going to build this group. I can give them administrative access. Now the access are much. If you have, let me give you, in a company, you're in a company, and you have a let me say a group that are just data engineers, and what they make use of is S3, Sage. So I just come here because now I'm just giving you your kind of policy so that you know that you can find when you can see S3. S3 have different policies, right? But because they are a group and they are working with S3, they use S3 as their data lake, putting data in S3, fetching data from S3 and all of that. I can just come and give them S3 full access. It therefore means that this group, the only thing they will have access to is S3. Or fine, after S3, they also use SageMaker, right? I can also come here, click on SageMaker. You can see Amazon SageMaker. What policy do I want to give to them? Executive policy. I need to actually understand. Are you saying now? I can say, okay, fine. I want them to have them SageMaker full access. Maybe Canva full access. Or do you understand? I can just come give them I just want them to be able to deploy to SageMaker. That is another policy, right? Then these same people, they use the Amazon EMR for data. Those of you that are into data, right? I'll come here, set for EMR. You can see EMR. I can maybe give them full access based on what they want, attach policy. So you know that these people don't have a full administrative policy. They have all the policies they need to do their work. So I can even call this group the data group. And the only policy they have is policy that they're able to manage their data. I can have a dev group, and the only policy they have is the policy that they need to do their dev work. I can have a finance group, and the only policy they have is to be able to access finance, dashboard, and all of that. I hope that is clear. Is that clear at all? Oh my God, I've lost people now. Okay, so
Yes, thank you.
You were confused, right? Did anybody say they didn't get it? Okay, so moving forward, we are actually ending for the class today. Tomorrow, after tomorrow class, like I said, you have the necessary information you need to be able to okay, then we are going to create a role also with policy attached. Remember when I was talking of role, I say you create a role for service to service interaction, right? So I'm going to show you how to create a role. It's as simple as creating a user. So I just come here and click on roles, right? It's asking me, oh, do I want an existing role? I want to create a role. I want to create a role. What do I want this to? I want the role to be able to. Now, when you are creating a role has different identity it can assume, right? And role can do a lot of things more than user. You can see it's asking me, is it a web identity, right? Do I want to allow users to federate? Meaning, if I want users to be able to like create an IAM role so that you can log into AWS account with the IAM role, or you have a pipeline. Most of us are into DevOps. I'm a DevOps engineer, so anytime I refer to DevOps, forgive me, right? I'm a DevOps engineer. If you're interested in DevOps, let me know. But with our DevOps engineers, there's what we call pipeline. We create pipeline, CI/CD pipeline, and all of that. We don't use credentials for that, right? What we use IAM role. So the GitHub uses an IAM role to be able to federate to access AWS account. So you are not going to be creating secret key and access key. No, it's not needed. So that any attacker, anybody cannot just get access to the secret key and access key, right? But we create an IAM role, give the role the federated permission, and is able to actually deploy our application into AWS. That is on the higher level, but I'm just telling you that that is what you can use. Then you can have role for AWS account. You can write role for Salmon 2. Most of you are working in an organization whereby they do what called single sign-on. Meaning you have your, okay, so let me break it down. Let's assume you get a job with Get Techie Challenge, right? Your email address is going to be, let's go back to the Elijah user, elijah.av@gettechnichallenge.com. That is your email. Every company always gives you that email. I said it's not a standard organization. But when you enter standard organization, even as a student, why am I saying standard? As a student, they give your student email, right? And it's going to be, depending on the school you find yourself, your name dot your surname at the name of your school.com, right? Is your email, right? So But because you're in this company, they have a lot of things, like they have AWS account, they have Azure account, they have GitHub account, they have a Cloudflare account, they have this and so account, and they don't want to keep creating. You can't even keep creating because you don't have that access. There's what we call single sign-on or federated user, whereby we just dial your email and just dial your email they give to you. Anywhere you go, provided you submit that email, you have access. So that's what we call single sign-on, being able to use your email to sign it. So you don't need to create account to all those things. You just use one email to federate, to sign into those accounts, and you're able to do what you are expected to do in that account. So we can actually use IAM role also to federate. Like one of the projects I've done, we actually on Azure, we have a Keycloak, but wanted to access AWS. I created an IAM role, use Keycloak. So our users are on Keycloak. With Keycloak, we're able to federate, use AWS with IAM role. It's a high level, don't worry. That's a DevOps team, not a cloud engineer team to some degree, right? So that's actually what it does. But we're not going to be creating a normal role, right? And ask you, okay, what is the use case for this role? Can you see use case for this role? We just want you to be able to interact with an EC2, right? So we're just going to do with EC2, right? We want this role to be able to federate with EC2. I'm going to click on next. What permission do I give to this role? I can give it EC2 full access because I want it to be able to interact with EC2. So I'm just going to come here, give it an EC2 access. I'm going to click on next, right? It's going to give me this is the trust policy that I will need to assume for this role. This is where I will now write the role name, EC2. I can also EC2 access. Are you saying it now? Then there's the trust policy. I can now come and click on IAM role. And when I want to use that role, is that policy I'm going to be using to federate to use that role. We will not understand that of role for now, but as we continue, when we are setting up database, when we are talking about setting up server, we will actually be able to understand end-to-end use case of it. Okay, so that is actually what we have for today. Hopefully, see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll be delving into AWS networking, VPC, and after tomorrow's class, you'll be able to log into your portal and do your first week project, right? Please, if you have any questions, interact with each other, ask questions on the WhatsApp group. If you are not on the WhatsApp group, get on the WhatsApp group, ask questions on the WhatsApp group, interact with each other, ask a question, submit your report, I will give you feedback, and that is it. So that being said, we have just 8 more minutes for questions. So please, if you have questions, it's time to take your questions now. Yeah, Ahmed, your hand has been up. Let's see.
Yeah, so thank you for the wonderful presentation. So my question is, actually I have 2 questions. The first one is kind of a request. So please, will you send this this slide of yours to the group for us to kind of review it?
I will send the recording. We have recording for it now. So you can just get recording. Yeah.
Okay. I mean the document, the doc slide.
No. Yeah.
Oh.
It's our training document. We don't share.
Okay, thank you. So the other question is, I was kind of like confused in this thing is like, can I start right now, like as someone who has no coding experience, for example, or doesn't know any programming language? So can I start and go into it? And like, if I'm to learn a programming language, which programming language would you advise me to learn so that I can use it in this later on? Sorry.
Okay, thank you. But so far, what we've done, have you seen us writing any code? No. Right?
Yes.
So, like, if earlier when we started, I was like, people always like, the reason why people get scared away from cloud computing and all is I cannot write code, or I don't know code. There are some things that I think you just have to own your confidence. You see this small thing I just demo and showed you today. Companies employ people just to manage their IAM. Finish. Do you understand? I'm telling you, right? An organization, especially when you are in this big organization, they'll just say, we just want you to manage our users. As simple as this. But imagine you're not saying that I don't know code. That's just it for you. You'll be losing out, right? That does not mean all companies will employ you. Some companies will even want you to no AWS, no Azure, no Google Cloud, no render, no everything. And again, they will give us more money. So depend on the company. Yeah, we are not going that route, right? But yes, you can. That's why I want that this cloud computing, right? That's why I say yes, start with cloud computing. And as you get more comfortable, you will now start seeing reason to learn more. But that you want to learn everything once before you can make sense out of it, it's going to be that rabbit hole I explained earlier when we started this class. You get what I mean? Right?
Yeah.
Ever learn, you are always learning, but you really don't, you can't hold on to something, right? But if you follow through on this, right? Of course, if you ask me what language, it's Python. If you are good with Python, like I'm a DevOps engineer, right?
Yes.
I write Bash, Python, PowerShell, finish, right?
Yeah.
And with those knowledge, I can pull things together. And of course, now with the age of AI, learning is faster if you know how to use it. Do you get?
Yes.
Yeah. So I hope that answered your question.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Emmanuel, let's go, please.
So I have a question.
Yes, please.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. So I have a question which is relating to this programming of a stuff. Now, if we are to, because we know that most times when you're starting with the basics, they will ask you to learn the fundamentals, bash and shell scripting, right? So now the thing there is that sometimes, let's say for somebody who is starting out and you just see, they tell you, okay, write a shell script, that does anything that has to do with monitoring, and you just get weary or you get weak or something like that because you don't know how to do this thing. Now, for somebody, let's just assume that you can see a script, read it and understand what it's saying, but maybe you don't really know how to write script fully. Now, using AI to do that, to like provision your script or create your scripting for you, then you now go through it and know how to do it, maybe the changes or whatever. Is it bad?
So
I said I should ask.
yes, thank you for this question. And I will say depend on the organization you are working for. So let me give you this scenario. My company, I work in the UK, right? My company in the UK, they don't allow AI. Use your brain. I have a coaching program, the DevOps coaching program for those that are interested, especially if you're in the UK. I'm not, right? So I have a coaching program. And my last course, right? I had some students. One of the students, right? He got a job even while he was in the coaching program. He got a DevOps job. I used to laugh at it that even me that I'm your coach, I'm not earning as much as you. He got a job, and his company is forcing him to use AI. Meaning, if he wants to generate Terraform code, the company will insist. Are you seeing it? To use AI. Do you get what I'm trying to say? But he knows how to. He understands Terraform. Let me put it that way. He might not be a guru in Terraform, might not be able to write iteration and logic and all the modules and all. But the company is not even the one forcing him to use AI. Some company will even sack you if you don't use AI. While some company will say, lie, you can't use AI. So if you ask me, if you are learning, like you said, I love what you said, you can read it. Because when AI generates a code for you and you can't read it, you are just doing things blindly. You won't even be able to prompt it to get the right answer. But if you can read the code and understand it, you might not be able, like me that I'm talking to you, I'm a senior engineer. I'm not very, very proficient with Bash. I write Bash, but my company don't use Bash, we use PowerShell. Do you understand? So can you read it? Can you understand? Then depend on the organization. Do you get what I mean? I hope that answers your question. So I cannot say it's a good thing or it's a bad thing, but depend on the organization you find yourself. But if you're a freelancer, nobody will tell you, they just want you to get the job done, right? Get the job done in the best secured way. Do you get what I mean now? So I hope that answers your question.
Okay, yes.
Okay.
It's like, yes, it answers like, for example, now,
You were kind of breaking.
right? So, like, because I was.
Yes,
Oh,
I
can you hear me
now.
now? I was saying like some days, few days ago, I started learning about Terraform. right? So one of the things one of the things first of all is just understanding, just having understanding of what the stuff is doing. And I think it's just being able to create provision your infrastructure. Like for example, I want to create a VPC. I can actually create a VPC in my Terraform, right? But sometimes, okay, now the documentation is there. I go to the documentation, like Terraform documentation is very easy. It's very understandable. Do you get? Now with my what I'm saying is that with my knowledge of what I have, right? Now I know that okay, I can go to this thing. But what if I now tell AI, okay, this is what I want to do, right? AI now gives me the code, right? Then I now go to the documentation, then go through it, because sometimes the versions, there are usually changes with the version. Ashiko will tell you like, okay, greater than 6.0, whatever, like that. Now and I start doing some editing, and I now paste it into my work. That's what I'm saying. Is that bad? Because
No.
the way things are going now, like you just have to be very fast. Like one of the things you said is just being able to understand the script. Like sometimes me, I don't really know how to. I know how to write some scripts, but like not detailedly or in depthly. But if I see a script, I can read and understand.
No,
Like
I
this is what
think
he's saying.
this whole thing boils down to confidence. The little you know, do little. Are you currently working as an engineer?
Okay, no, I am still in the learning phase, ma.
Good. The little you know, start using it to apply. That's what I will say. After this course, start applying as a cloud engineer. It's from work you learn most of the things that is required. Most time you can't learn it all. Somebody asked a question. He said IAM role appears to be a security feature on AWS. How come on your Get Techie Challenge website there is a button to get an IAM role access? Will that not be exposed security on user resource? Thank you for that question. So IAM role, like I said, you can actually use to federate into AWS account. Remember when we were chatting on the platform today, right? And some people say I could not get AWS account. I said that was what I was trying to. So I was trying to create a feature that Get Tech Challenge account. I actually have an IAM role. So I'm creating an IAM role for you, right? To be able to log into this my own AWS account, right? And do the lab, right? Then when you are done with the lab, we'll delete whatever you've done so that you'll not be left out, because I understand that it's not about sitting down to listen to me. If you are not hands-on, there's no point. You are going to forget whatever I say anyway. But if you're able to, like someone that was working alongside me now, he now understand that if I click on the permission, it's going to take me to a different page. So I rather click on the checkbox. He knows that now, is in his brain. Do you get what I mean? So I was actually implementing, and so luckily you even saw that. So it's not a vulnerability, it's an IAM role. And when that role logs into this account, it is only the permission I give to that role. So if that role, I always say that you can create EC2 instance, you can create Kubernetes cluster on my AWS account. And that role is easily revocable. I can just revoke it, and you don't have access again, So I hope that answers that question. We are behind time now, so I'm going to stop the recording. Any questions, please ask it on the platform, on the WhatsApp platform. We'll take on from there. Please no spamming. If you have the answers to people's questions, just respond to them, right? We'll see you tomorrow, same time. And please, it's GMT, not GMT+1. So see you tomorrow. I hope this class was really of help to you. Once the recording is ready, I will upload it to the YouTube channel. I will direct you there so that you can also go through it again, right?
Thank you very much, Mom.